All right. Hello, everybody. Today is Tuesday, July 12th. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. So, we got about 3 segments today. We're going to go through them as quick as possible. First one we're going to be starting with is going to be Biden and a speech he gave, I believe. Let me double check to make sure the date is correct. Yes, at the very least this was uploaded. I believe the speech was yesterday. Was yesterday that he gave in let's see, let me double check to make sure I have the right information. Yeah, this was a speech he was giving. I don't remember exactly where, probably Texas or Florida, one or the other. But either way, this is a speech that he was giving, and he was interrupted by a Parkland shooting victim's father. So we're gonna look at that, and we're gonna briefly go over the actual points of the gun legislation that they recently passed. That doesn't do enough. We are then going to shift over to looking at what the right's up to, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get to everything. So let's just get right into it, shall we?
Today's many things is proof that despite the naysayers, we can make meaningful progress on dealing with gun violence. Because make no mistake, sit down, you'll hear what I have to say. If you think you let me finish my comment. Let him talk. No one, okay? Because make no mistake about it, this legislation is real progress, but more has to be done. The provision of this new legislation is going to save lives, and as proof that today's politics, we can come together on a bipartisan basis to get important things done, even on an issue as tough as guns.
So, that was Biden. As kind of usual, being not really worth a whole lot saying. That father is the father of a shooting victim in Parkland, Florida, arguing that we haven't done enough. We're going to go over the gun legislation bill, but I want to first comment.
When you criticize a white liberal, they
whoa,
call you racist.
Whoa,
and you
whoa,
think to yourself,
whoa, Tucker! I didn't ask for you. Back off, Jesus. Anyway, oh, I should probably have autoplay off. Right? That would be smart. That would be a smart thing. Autoplay is okay. Anyway, yeah. So Biden passed some legislation that, quite frankly, doesn't do enough. We're gonna go look at that. But that father was pretty outraged. Parkland happened, I believe, in 2018. So it's been about 4 years. Let me double check here. Let's double check. Parkland shooting. Let's see. Was I correct? Look at that. So right. So 2018. It's been 4 years. We've had, we're going on. We're on the second year of Biden, of a Democratic president, and to this day we haven't really had meaningful legislation been passed. So let's take a look at Biden's bill. I also want to come back to something, but either way. So this is a breakdown of it by CNN. So earlier this month, a bipartisan group of senators had released an agreement in principle for a deal on bipartisan gun legislation, which notably had the backing of 10 Republican senators. At least 10 Republican senators will need to join Democrats in supporting. I can't read. I'm sorry, guys. In supporting the bill for it to overcome the filibuster and pass in the Senate. Here's a breakdown. So first of all, to say nothing of the initial politics in terms of the filibuster, there is absolutely no need for the filibuster to be as much of a hindrance and as much as a stop block to legislation as it has generally been. The filibuster has been reformed multiple times. It has been reformed recently so that Congress could pass the the spending to make sure that the government could continue to spend money. I don't remember what it was called. It wasn't a spending bill. It was the budget. That's what it was. So the filibuster is not something that is sacred. It's not something that is necessary. Some people will, maybe make the argument about majoritarian or minoritarian rule, whatever it might be. Either way, the filibuster is simply something we can or cannot have in our functioning government. Personally, I don't feel like it allows representatives to actually pass laws. So it's kind of useless in my opinion, to a good degree. There is a place for the filibuster. I don't think, if anybody's seen that old movie, I think it's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. There's no reason why that format for the filibuster should not be the one today. Unfortunately, today, filibustering is incredibly easy. You just say, I'd filibuster, and that's all you have to do. It's utterly ridiculous. And Biden, with a 50-50 split Senate, basically what would have to happen is Joe Manchin or Kirsten Sinema, or really, they would need every single Democratic vote to repeal the filibuster and get rid of that ruling. The filibuster right now requires you to get 60 votes as opposed to a simple majority, and they could do that at any time. But Joe Manchin doesn't want to do that, and quite frankly, Biden doesn't want to put pressure on him. So that's why we don't. That's why we have pretty meaningless legislation like this right here. Anyway, first one we got here, $750 million to help states implement and run crisis intervention programs. This money can be used to implement and manage red flag programs, which are aimed at keeping guns out of the hands of those who pose a threat to themselves or others. It also can be used for other crisis intervention programs like mental health courts, drug courts, veteran courts. Whether the money could be used for things... Okay, point is, this is red flag laws right here. This is money for red flag programs if states would like to implement them. So understand that when Biden says that this law when Biden says we put $750 million in the hands of states, understand that that's $750 million allocated to states that want to do anything. So, considering many state legislatures and a lot of states are Republican held, you're not going to see this money going to anywhere other than, your Californias, New Yorks, probably Washington, DC, maybe Pennsylvania, but you're not going to see this everywhere. This is not a sweeping legislation. This is just if the states would like to, they can have money for it. But like a lot of things, a lot of red states will probably either A, refuse this money, or B, not even implement any of these things. So it's not really all that substantive. Closing the so-called boyfriend loophole, the legislation closes a years-long loophole in domestic violence law that barred individuals who have been convicted of domestic violent crimes against spouses or partners with whom they shared children or cohabitated with from having guns. Old statutes didn't include inmate partners who may not live together or married or share children. The new bill would bar anyone who is convicted of domestic violence crimes against someone they have a continuing serious relationship of a romantic or intimate nature from having a gun. The provision isn't retroactive. So, it's not retroactive. So, understand that this isn't going to fix anything that's already happened, which, that's kind of the reality of a lot of laws these days. But either way, other than that, the boyfriend loophole is, honestly, it's a loophole that, sure, that's a good provision. That's one good provision. I'm certainly in favor of this, but it's really not going to, it's not broad. And this is going to be the theme of this legislation when I talk about it, is that none of this is broad enough for it to really impact. Yes, this is good. Yes, this is something that should have been on the books as it is, although it is rather, it's a bit narrow in the sense of, continuing serious relationship or romantic or intimate nature. You would kind of have to prove that. So this is also sort of the problem. But this is an improvement. This will do something, but again, this isn't, this is a Band-Aid solution. This is like one of those fucking circular Band-Aids. But this is something, if I'm giving these like ratings, this is like a 4 out of 10 in terms of any impact it'll do, because this is voluntary. This is a bit better. This is somewhere around a 7, something like that. This is a bit better. So moving on. Requires more gun sellers to register as federally licensed firearms dealers. The bill goes after individuals who sell guns as primary sources of income, but have previously evaded registering as federally licensed firearms dealers. This is significant because federally licensed dealers are required to administer background checks before they sell a gun to someone. Again, this is honestly kind of a half measure. At the end of the day, this isn't going to catch everybody, and a lot of these individuals are going to continue to evade those background checks if they want to. Private gun sales are something that is incredibly difficult to regulate. This is probably where I will say that, when it comes to private sellers and private citizens selling guns to each other, or, that's going to be really hard to catch. This is, again, this is not sweeping legislation that's going to bring about a big change. This is, again, going to be a pretty rather small edge case in terms of, getting some of, making sure more, this will increase the amount of people getting background checks done to buy guns. This isn't gonna take care of everybody though. If you've ever been to gun shows, at least here in Colorado where I live, for the most part, as far as I can tell, all of those are businesses, and you do have to do background checks for all of those. I'm not sure what laws are. I've only been to gun shows in about 2 states, so I'm not super keen on where, like, what the laws are going to be, what the laws are like in the South. I'm sure those will be not great, but either way, that's still going to kind of be a sticking point. Give me 1 second. I'm just something really quickly. Okay, cool. Okay. All right, let's see. More thorough reviews of people ages 18 to 21 who want to buy guns. So I don't know how to say this other than it's not like this is the problem with this is a really typical problem of liberals and specifically Democrats like Joe Biden, is that like there's this weird what's the phrasing for it? Help me out here. What's the phrasing? Means testing, you could say. I'll just use that term aside from the one I was probably grasping for. But there's this weird means testing of like, well, we need to target 18 to 21 year olds, which is accurate, but if you're 18 to 21, there are probably already state laws that you're not allowed to own firearms. And also, this isn't raising that age. This is just putting a slightly more stricter eye on kids 18 to 21, which, by the way, given the makeup of the Supreme Court right now, they could easily say this is unconstitutional. But let's read first really quickly, because I realized I didn't read it. The bill encourages states. So this is the problem. Encourages. Like this is what a lot of more left-leaning folks like myself find issue with this, because this is asking nicely. Democrats ask, Republicans pass laws and demand. The bill encourages states to include juvenile records in the National Instant Criminal Background Check System with grants, as well as implement a new protocol for checking those records. It gives NICS 3 days to review an individual's records. If something potentially disqualifying comes up, NICS gets an additional 7 days. If the review is not completed by then, the gun transfer goes through. So this is, we have gun control for 18 to 21 year olds. That's what this is. This is decent, not even decent. This is weak gun control measures for, what is this? The range of 3 years of an adult's life. So, I mean, this is nothing. This is, as usual, instead of passing strong legislation, this is not going to do a whole lot. This is pretty, I mean, it's just, how we haven't just simply raised the age of who can buy firearms to at least 21, and that wasn't even in the bill. Like, understand, that's not what this is saying. This is not raising the legal age to own firearms to 21. That's not what this is doing. So, and that would actually be a substantive, like, even though it's not my favorite regulation to put on people, like, it's something. So, and this isn't even that. So, let's see. Creates new federal statutes against gun trafficking and straw trafficking. The legislation makes it easier to go after those who are buying guns for individuals who are not allowed to purchase weapons on their own. I mean, look, this is already illegal, and making the penalties more strict, and whatnot is good, but the people who are doing that are, I mean, it's not something that I think is the core problem. And this is the last one, right? Yep. And increases funding for mental health programs in school and school security. This money is directed to a series of programs, many of which already exist, but would be funded more robustly under the new law. So, yeah, I mean, mental health programs, that's great. School security. This is the problem with this one, is it kind of it's ceding so much ground to the right that schools need to be more safe instead of just making society more broadly more safe. This is like the type of, school safety, school security. You're going to have Ted Cruz in Texas saying, we need to have less doors and all this other nonsense. So, I mean, this is money going to, this is just money going to things that, I mean, quite frankly, these are, this entire bill, sans, I'll give them credit on like the boyfriend loophole, but like everything else is either asking, encouraging, the only real piece of gun control here is for 18 to 21 year olds, which they didn't even go all the way and make it illegal for 18-year-olds to like buy firearms. So, I mean, and let's go take a look back at Biden's speech really quick. Luckily, there's only a minute, or at least the section we're going to look at.
Despite the naysayers, we can make meaningful progress on dealing with gun violence.
Right. So again, this is the thing. This is the problem with Democrats, is they are going to, after passing this, say they made meaningful progress. That is to them, if you hear meaningful progress, understand that is complete hogwash, and there's nothing meaningful about it. When you have to say, it comes down to it when, like, you see all these, you see like adjectives like historic, meaningful, all this nonsense. When you see politicians come out with that stuff, that should tell you immediately that they are marketing it to you using positive language. And probably a good idea for you to not fall for that positive sounding language. So,
because make no mistake, sit down and hear what I have to say. If you think So yeah, this guy, father of one of I believe a Parkland shooting victim. I'm assuming it doesn't. Let's interrupt. Whose son was killed. Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, this is a victim of this kind of gun violence, and as usual, like a lot of Democratic voters, is outraged and yelling for Biden to do more, and his response is like, kind of, what can I do? Let me finish my comment.
Yeah. Okay.
Let him talk. Let him talk. No one. Okay. Because make no mistake about it. This legislation is real progress, but more has to be done.
Yeah, as usual, this is progress, but more has to be done, but not going to happen right now. And it's one of these cases, and we're going to talk about this in a second here. But let's let him finish. Let's let him finish.
This new legislation is going to save lives.
It probably will save
that today
some. Yeah.
In politics, we can come together.
So this is the problem. This is DC brain rot. This is Democrats not understanding the time that they're in. Because at the end of the day, how do I put this? Biden is from a time where the politics of Democrats versus Republicans was just different. And what's upsetting about it is Biden is constantly ringing the bell, and like setting off the fireworks for working together on bipartisanship. That's not what we need in this moment. That's not. And Democrats have yet to come to understand this, that this is not the time. There were January 6 hearings just this morning. I'm hoping I'm most likely going to cover those highlights tomorrow. But understand, there was a coup attempt in this country. There were people ready to take over our legislative buildings and like hold them hostage. Understand that. And we are still talking about working with Republicans. And people say Liz Cheney. Fuck Liz Cheney. Let me say that as much as I can. Fuck Liz Cheney. She's not a hero. She's doing what's best for her politically. That's point one. Point two, understand Liz Cheney is one out of how many Republicans in the House and in the Senate who have been supporting or advocating for the kind of rhetoric that led to Jan 6. So understand, this is the Republican Party now. So this working together nonsense is not going to work. A. B is going to hand this country over to fascists. So, they're incapable. They're incapable of responding it to this moment. Like, I don't know how else to say it. They're just incapable of doing it. So anyway, let's finish up here.
On a bipartisan basis to get
bipartisanship, talking about all this nonsense.
On an issue as tough as guns.
Even on an issue as tough as guns, he says, as he passes half measure after half measure after half measure. So, actually, this is a good transition. So, let's get to this. Okay. Whoa, snaps. Nearly half of Republican primary voters want someone other than Trump, with DeSantis getting half as much support as the former president in new poll. Let's see. All right. Former President Donald Trump continues to lead all challengers in a poll of Republican voters, but with nearly half of GOP voters saying they prefer someone else. And the poll reveals a sizable chunk, 16% of Republicans who say they would vote for President Joe Biden if Trump is the party nominee. So, 16%. I know that was really loud. I'm sorry, guys. So 16%. That is not an insignificant number. I also don't think that number is going to hold. Republicans generally are pretty loyal to their own side. So I'll admit, I don't think this number here is real. I think that's bullshit. Anyway, New York Times Siena College poll comes as Trump continues to try to reassert his dominance in the party, picking favorites in key primaries and trying to defeat Republicans who voted to impeach him. So that hasn't gone super well for him. And I know a lot of people kind of think that that's a sign of, that's a good sign. I don't really think that matters too much. I think Trump's name doesn't carry as much weight as Trump's endorsement. So you have to understand that Republican voters, in their minds, to them, they don't see themselves as followers. They see themselves as individual thinkers. So when Trump, they will follow Trump. Like, if Trump is the nominee, if anybody's the nominee, they won't vote for a Democrat, no matter what. But, when you show them Trump, they go, well, I mean, love Trump, but, I like this other person in my county, in my state, or whatever. Trump's endorsement isn't everything, but at the end of the day, it's not about Trump's endorsement. It's about Trump himself. They love him. They want him to get up on stage and curse and do all the things that, politicians aren't supposed to do, like try to, not give up power peacefully. That's what they want. And they will pick the people they think will get them to that end goal. But at the end of the day, either way, Trump gets to the point of 49% of Republican voters who are asked to name their preferred candidate. So half of them who are asked, like, hey, write down who you like, they go for Trump. Doubles the support of his top rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who party insiders view as the most potent threat to him. There is a substantial drop-off after that. Ted Cruz getting 7%, Mike Pence 6%, and Nikki Haley said, "Get the fuck out of here, Nikki Haley." Mike Pompeo, get the fuck out of here. Ted Cruz was too emasculated. He will never be able to win well, first of all, he would never win a general presidential election. I don't suspect that he'll ever be able to win a Republican primary for president. I don't see that happening, just because of how emasculated he was in the last one. Like, it's just, you kind of can't come back from that. It's tough for people to forget some of that. But let's see. Pence during recent speeches defending his decision to accept the votes certified in the state by states where Trump was claimed. That's Jan 6 shit. Don't care. I don't care. Give me. Okay. Yep. I know who these ugly fucks are. Biden leads Trump by a narrow 44-41 margin. And nearly 2/3 of Democrats would prefer a candidate besides Biden. Where is it? Give me this candidate. Give me, God, this is like the worst site ever, right? All right. nearly 2/3 of Democrats would prefer a candidate besides Biden. So understand that that's 2/3 of the party are not with him. That is what is that? That he is getting 30. That, you know, if we do that math wise, that's 33%. Trump in his party is sitting at 49. And understand, in a primary where he gets to shine, where he gets to talk and like name call and mudsling and do everything else that he does, trust me, that number ain't gonna last. This 44 to 41, that ain't gonna last, because Trump's eventually going to show. Because once he gets DeSantis out, that's it. There, you know, that number is gonna go up to, you know, if it's 16, that means he's probably gonna get 84%. I'd guess that 16 number is kind of BS. So I'm going to say he's going to have 90% of the Republican Party on his side, and they're all going to be ready to vote Joe Biden out. So, you know, this 44 to 41, we don't have time for that. And also, and this is going to be really anecdotal. It's going to be very anecdotal. So in 2016, I did some canvassing for technically a third party group, but it was on the side of the Clinton campaign, you know, pushing for Clinton in a third party organization. I didn't work for the Clinton campaign, but if there was one thing I heard consistently, and I mean consistently, whether I was in the city in Denver or even if I was up in the mountains, the one thing I'd hear from folks, would be that they really disliked Hillary, but they respected Bernie for his honesty and thought some of his ideas were interesting and commendable. A lot of them said, if I could vote for Bernie, I would over Trump, but between Trump and Hillary, there's no way I'm voting for Hillary. So there is a dynamic of Republicans who I think, you know, and independent voters obviously, but like more independent minded Republicans who could be swayed voting for Bernie. But at this point, I think it would be hard. I think in 2016 was the best moment for that to happen. I do think it would be pretty difficult, but not undoable. I don't think that's impossible at all. I think Bernie absolutely has a shot, could have a shot. Do I think he should run? I'm a bit skeptical. You know, I mean, I love Bernie. I do think we need somebody a bit younger though, just because, you know, I think Bernie as like a VP would be actually what's best. I think, you know, if you're asking me how to enter the primary, I think it should be, you know, if I'm giving any advice to any progressives out there, it's, you know, if you're running a ticket, Nina Turner at the top, Bernie as VP. I think that right there, you get people who love Bernie, you tie Nina to him, pulling some of his influence, pulling some of his, you know, already built-in support, which might actually kind of, you know, it might actually kind of get you out of that hole, because, you know, let's be honest here, Nina Turner is a black woman, and that's going to be tough for some people. And I think having Bernie next to her, the same way you had Joe next to Obama, cringe, I know, but I think politically that could be a potent, you know, option. That could be a very effective strategy. But either way, look, I mean, guys, this is 2024 is important. Everything's gonna kind of ride on 24. The midterms, I haven't looked at a lot of the polling. It, like, you know, instincts tell me that midterms are not going to be great, but also with Roe v. Wade, there's at least a vague chance that could galvanize support. I'm not super confident in that, which is why I'm nervous. I'm not sure, because you have to understand people are going to be angry and upset with what's happened, but you know, it will, you're gonna be asking them to vote for somebody who, honestly, for lack of a better term, who allowed the things that made all these people angry and made everybody upset. You know, between all these Supreme Court decisions and everything, you know, they have done such a shit job that it might not honestly matter too much. You know, they might. Oh, thank you. What is that? NYS Jewish man. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate you. But you know, that might not be enough. There might be like, you know, there just might not be, you know, it's like one of those things where, you know, you ask people to support you but you don't do enough, and like they know they should, but they like grit their teeth. My girlfriend has this problem where, you know, like even in the last election, you know, she's just gritting her teeth because she's like, fuck man, like, yeah, it's just like, what do you like you can't ask somebody to vote for you and deliver nothing. Like if nothing else, the right does deliver for their side. So it's just, you know, I don't, there's not a lot I can say. It's just it's political malpractice. And it's I say this a lot when it comes to the gas prices right now, which I understand that that's not really like something that is, how do you put it? That's not something that Biden has an immediate like ability to act on, or not even act on, make like a huge change on. But like at the end of the day, it boggles my mind how you can be so irresponsible to let gas prices get to the place that they're at. Like like you can't, like, they've gotten to the place that they're at, and you're not out there, like, you're out there asking oil companies to bring the prices, that, like, you're doing something, and it's politically irresponsible to let it happen and to have, you know, nothing to do, like, oh, we're going to you know, we're gonna repeal like the gas tax for a bit, which is cool, but like you should have seen this coming. You should have just done that ahead of time. Or you should be on TV every single day calling out these companies every single day. But no, every time I go to the pump, and I say it as a joke, but like it fucking sucks cuz it costs like $45 to fill up now, and it used to cost me like 20, 23. But like I look at the pump and I go, "Thanks, Biden." And it's just like, it's like a joke. It's like, but like, fuck, man. Like I shouldn't even be able to make that joke. But, you know, either way, they're irresponsible. They're going to fucking like let Republicans walk all over them. It's, yeah. It's just it's irresponsible and it's disappointing. But thank you guys. Thank you guys very much. Hello, Sir Leviticus 69. Good number. Good number. True, the right does deliver not just for their side, but for the working class and the middle class. So I would disagree with this. NYS Jewish man, I would only disagree with this in terms of they do things rhetoric wise. Like the working class is a really broad term. When we say working class, I feel like everyone has somebody different in their mind a little bit. But you know, the working class is, wages have not gone up. Republicans, at the end of the day, what they end up doing most of the time is they end up pushing for, you know, CRT nonsense and a lot of culture war, because that's how you catch some of those people without giving them better wages. It's the same. We're gonna look at a Daily Wire video next here, and I've not seen it, so I mean they might surprise me. I like clicked through it to get the vibes, but their economic solutions are awful and have led us to the point that we're at now. But they've delivered on like utter nonsense in terms of like, you know, in terms of all their like social bullshit. Let's see. Thanks. Yeah. Being on TV every single day, calling out gas companies won't help when Biden created the problem. So I don't think that Biden can, like, you know, I don't know if I'd say Biden created the problem, but at the end of the day, Biden's like economic policies aren't doing anything to stop it and to like kind of hold that back. And also, like, you know, it's really not something where I think it's like, you know, materially I'm not sure how much he can do. You know, I'm just not personally sure how much he can do, but it's from a political strategy standpoint, it's just irresponsible to not be out there and not be strongly, at least look like you're fighting for, for people who have to pay for gas, which is fucking all of us. So, what is this? Democrats plus CRT. Okay, NYS Jewish man, I want you to type what you think CRT is. Don't say critical race theory. I want you to type in the comment section. Tell me what you think CRT is, like an actual definition. Because I've talked to a few people about this, like in like my real life, and nobody ever has a real answer. So go ahead and do that. Anyway, we're gonna go to Prager. Or no, we're not going to Prager. Actually, we might skip Prager to do that tomorrow. We're gonna go with Daily Wire. It's gonna be: is it really possible to cancel student debt? Yes.
Everything you could buy in this country is more expensive now. America is hardly unfamiliar with inflation. It's practically an American staple at this point. Gas, groceries, cars, newspapers, everything you could buy in this country is more expensive now than it was a decade ago or even a year ago.
But this is okay. No, wait, no, go back for like 2 seconds. This is what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. This is political irresponsibility. This is political, to use a lack of a better term, stupidity. This should not be a thing that has been perpetuated so easily. This will impact more voters. Not even impact. This sticker will influence more voters than we will ever know. Because at the end of the day, they'll see this, and in their mind, they'll think, show me the lie, which they're not wrong. But, you don't even, Democrats don't even have the argument of like, hey, he's out there constantly, like, making the case, like, making the case against these companies. Like, we all know what the solution could be. Like, you would just threaten to nationalize their entire industry and say, hey, like, look, you're either going to like stop with this predatory price gouging, or we're just gonna say goodbye to all of that public land that you've been using up. So anyway, let's keep it rolling.
But nowhere is this spike in inflation more stark and more noticeable than in the business of college. Yes, business is the right word there. Universities and student loan companies have every incentive to have you sign years of your life away for a loan that's costing 50 million Americans a whopping $1.6 trillion.
So I also want to, as we're watching this, keep in mind, keep in mind that this is the same group of people, conservatives, who will argue in favor of, privatizing public education in terms of elementary school and into high school. So understand that the system that they're advocating for, the system right now that they're probably going to say, hey, this is like costing a lot of people money, they're going to probably identify the problem with student debt and understand that that the system that they want for public education that they're pushing for right now, that is what's going to lead to this. It is going to cost you, I believe it's Arizona, I could be wrong, but I believe it's Arizona passed like some bill that is like incentivizing people to push their kids into private institutions, and they're going to be given like a tax, either a tax break or a tax grant of like $7,000 to send their kids to private institutions and pull them out of public schools. And if all of us know, and all of us understand how this works, if any private institution, like a elementary school or whatever, knows that you're getting $7,000 to attend their school, how much do you think tuition is going to be? It's probably not going to be $7,000, is it? Because they're going to know they can get you in for $7,000. So they're at the end of the day, they'll go, oh, tuition $7,000, but you have to pay for books, you have to pay for the uniform, you have to pay for resources, fees, everything else. That's the system this is going to lead to.
So what do we do with all that debt? Well, currently the most popular proposed solution for many on the left is just snap our fingers and cancel it.
You didn't see anything.
And as you've probably already guessed,
I don't understand what the penguin I don't understand that reference.
Nowhere near that simple. College wasn't always so expensive, though. After adjusting for inflation, a college degree back in 1985, for example, would have cost you about $5,000 a year for a 4-year degree. Now, that number is closer to $28,000. That's a 497% increase in tuition costs.
So also, I want to say to everybody here, I don't have numbers up like in front of me. We're gonna go based on, we're gonna go with their numbers, all right? We're gonna work from their premise and go from there.
Over a 40-year period. And it's not just inflation causing that increase either. According to Forbes, that increase is actually double the inflation rate over that time period.
Makes
so what
sense.
changed?
Tracks.
Why has it become so expensive? Why do so many people have to take out so much money in loans just to pay for a 4-year degree? The most obvious reason is money. More specifically, a financial incentive for universities. A study published by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, for example,
again,
studied the
I get the
connection between
sense.
student
I
credit
clicked through this a bit. I
and
did not
tuition
pre-watch,
costs. And
but
wouldn't
I
you know,
did
they
click
found
through
that,
this a
quote,
bit,
institutions
and I got
that
the
were
general
most
sense that
exposed
this
to
is
these
going to
program
identify the
maximums
problem.
ahead of the policy changes,
the solution that
experienced
we're going to have to
disproportionate
talk
tuition
about.
increases. In other words, as lenders were willing to loan more and more money to students, and as students had their credit limits go up and were on the hook for all this money, universities would follow suit by raising tuition fees, basically goading students into taking out bigger loans. And if they can't get you with loans, they'll get you with degrees. A growing number of educational researchers and other experts in the field say that programs like one-year certificates and master's degrees from universities are now just outright scams. For example, in one interview, education researcher Kevin Carey talked to Slate about how, quote, universities see master's degree programs as largely unregulated cash cows that help shore up their bottom line. And the government, as could be expected, also has blood on its hands when it comes to this problem. In 2008, Congress passed a bill that raised the max cap that a student could take out in loans. Sure enough, what do you know? Students took out more and more money after that bill passed, and universities responded by, you guessed it, raising tuition. As inflation surpassed...
All right, 1 second. I'm gonna read through chat really quickly. I saw things. Oh my goodness. Here we go. All right. Sir Leviticus says CRT equals things through a racial lens during certain periods of time, specifically, and how they would affect people in the future. To a degree, yes, I would mostly agree. Overall, critical race theory stems from a subset of critical theory that involves taking race into things. I'm not like some scholar or whatever, but overall, it's not the nonsense that Republicans. Also, it's not being taught. It's like college level. Let's see. I'm assuming that's supposed to say Biden. Biden critical race theory, and that is what it is. And you can't tell me to not say what the real definition of theory is. There. I'm not sure what that's. Is there anything that we can agree on? I don't know. I'm sure there's something we can agree on. Because conservatives and leftists can agree on something. They can. I can. So this is probably my big thing. Is half of my family's conservative. The other half is rather liberal. I'm probably the farthest left person in my family. What I find is I generally agree with the problems. I just disagree a lot of times on solutions. Government of Sri Lanka was overthrown because the government nationalized everything and created 50%. So that might be true. I will look into that, but that seems like a pretty, what's the word, reductionist definition of what happened. But I've heard of the Sri Lanka stuff. Let's see. Conservatives want an education, and they want clear charter schools, which are public schools, just without the union. Plus, using money, like you said, to get kids into. If you don't, okay. So I saw NYS Jewish man. I saw you ask a question. I have number. You don't have number. Oh yeah. Well, I don't have a giant document, but I want to see if there's something we can. Would you support charter schools? No, I don't support charter schools. The only reason I don't is mainly because as private institutions, they have no obligation to what's the word? Deliver better results, and are really just a what's the word? A vehicle for people to make money off of education, the same way college is. There's really not a lot about charter schools that I think are all that meaningful. They, like, to me, in every Any study that I've seen, they either perform on par or within the margin of error in terms of better or worse. So I don't really think it's worth sending a bunch of money to institutions that aren't really going to deliver vastly better outcomes. Let's see what else. Man, have you seen this? Guns are racism and so on. I don't believe I ever said guns are racism. I mean, there are aspects of gun culture which are a bit yikesy. I think gun culture's pretty fucking cringe in America, but as a gun owner, I'm probably a little bit more amenable to them. Like cops, gun free. I actually believe that you should be able to know anyone that breaks into your house and or risk loves one. So okay. So I'm gonna assume I see Snithers G talking about our schools are funded by the government and the best public schools in the city are charter schools. I don't care who Eva Maskowitz is, just because they're a Democrat. I will look into it, but I will immediately reject any appeals to authority on certain things. Sometimes that can just end up being just people kind of pretending that just because you have some authority in some way that validates your opinion more. I actually believe that you should be able to not be charged. I'm not a Republican. Let's see. Believe that you should be able to not be charged. Shooting anyone that breaks into your house and or risk. I mean, under those circumstances, yeah. But anyway, let's get back to the video. You guys kind of shit out.
Massive highs not seen in 40 years. The value of the dollar is decreasing with every passing day. You're paying more at the pump, more at the grocery store, more for cars and for housing. Face it, your paper money is worth less and approaching worthless. The timing could not be any better. My new sponsor, Bullion Max. Bullion Max is a direct-to-consumer precious metals retailer who can help you diversify into gold and silver.
Wait a minute.
Importantly, it's a hedge against inflation.
This better not be an ad.
Security for your family.
Better not be an ad. This is an ad. This is.
Here's why I love Bullion Max. They're owned by veterans, just one per household. It's my favorite. This offer is limited. It's just one per household.
Oh, Jesus.
So go get yours now. Again, go to bullionmax.com/Cabot right now.
Jesus.
But now we've got another issue to deal with, and that's the looming 1.6.
So, I'm sorry, but it seems like there was like an entire ad, for silver and gold, which I know is like a Republican meme, but like, okay, didn't see that coming. Didn't see that coming at all. I love how they're like, hey, why don't you just invest in gold and silver and weird coins or whatever? That'll totally recoup the money you lost going to college.
$6 trillion bill that's still owed by nearly 50 million Americans. Luckily, the best minds in Washington have solutions, and we can rest easy knowing that they're on it. America's favorite president, Joe Biden, for example, is also working hard on the case. On April 6th, President Biden and the Department of Education announced that they'd extended the student loan freeze that had initially been put in place during COVID lockdowns. And wouldn't you know it, he extended it until right before midterms. That move also grants people who defaulted on their student loans
also really stupid. Like, really, really stupid. You're going to ask people to vote for you literally the month you start making them pay for their predatory college loans again. Also very politically irresponsible.
Quote, reset. What is a reset exactly? Well, he says it's a complete start over with no financial repercussions. This was an extension to an emergency moratorium that started when Biden began his presidency. As his White House chief of staff proudly noted at the time, Joe Biden right now is the only president in history where no one's paid on their student loans for the entirety of his presidency. Not exactly sure if that's a bragging point, but neither here nor there. But that extension of the moratorium still wasn't good enough for many of the president's supporters who want to see.
Right, so if you're out there, you have student loans, you haven't paid them since COVID started. And I don't know about you, but it doesn't seem like we've been hurting for that money all that much over the last 2 years. So I'm a lot less convinced so far that I'm assuming the answer to this question by the end of this video is going to be no, because we haven't been paying them and nothing's really, the world didn't explode. we increased the military budget. What exactly is it that was supposed to happen when people didn't pay this? But either way, let's...
All debt forgiven. Failed presidential candidate and America's most famous socialist, Bernie Sanders, is also not satisfied with Biden's proposal. For years now, Sanders has advocated for student debt erasure, not relief.
Hands up for Bernie.
Total
Anybody
erasure.
in the comments
the reset
who
button.
likes Bernie?
Under the
me get
proposal
a-
that we introduced
put
today,
an emoji or something.
all student debt would be canceled in 6 months.
After Joe Biden announced the freeze extension, Sanders responded not by congratulating him, but by tweeting, quote, cancel student debt, all of it. Remember, Sanders practically ran his entire
won't.
2016
He
and
won't.
2020
Biden
presidential campaigns on canceling student debt. But it's not just Sanders. Senator Elizabeth Warren is also dogpiling on the president over this issue as well. She's assembled a team of senators and representatives to sign a letter to the president. It includes Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer, and Ayanna Pressley, a who's who of progressive leaders. In the letter, they begged President Biden to cancel up to $50,000 of student loan debt per person. They even managed to sneak in how racist and bigoted student loans were in the first place. So
Makes sense.
the big question here is, can it actually be canceled?
Wait.
Can you
You're not gonna.
cancel up to $50,000 of student loan debt per person.
Am I crazy?
They even
Did I
managed to
skip ahead?
sneak in how racist and bigoted student loans were in the first place.
Not even okay. Okay. I mean that he said it in like a sarcastic way. I would hope he would have something to back up his sarcasm and disbelief. But okay, I guess.
So
Okay.
the big question here is,
That's cool.
can it actually be canceled? Can you just snap your fingers, wave your magic wand, and do away with $1.7 trillion in debt? The short answer is no. The long answer is still no. Not
Fucking crazy. I didn't pre-watch.
Not really. First of all, there's no way to just cancel debt. Yes, you could technically pull a Michael Scott and declare bankruptcy.
I declare
I'm really offended by their use of
bankruptcy!
media that I enjoy.
Or you could default on your loan, but again, that comes with major financial repercussions down the line, and that loan still has to be paid somehow. But if there's anything that hundreds of years of basic economics has taught us, it's that you can't
Well,
make
that's not
giant
really
loans
how-
disappear, especially ones to the tune
That's not really how
of $1.6
it
trillion.
works for a
And
government,
there's also the
really.
question of whether or not it would even be
Considering
legal
they
to
hold
cancel all that
the,
student
like,
debt, even if it
fund.
were possible, which again, it's not. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has repeatedly stated over the last 2 years that President Biden does not have the power to cancel out student loans, that he can only delay them. You can imagine how that's going to go over with progressives. And perhaps the most important question in this entire conversation is, why should blue-collar, middle-class Americans, or any American for that matter, pay a single cent?
I mean,
for-
except the fact that didn't his own staff, if I remember correctly, didn't his own staff already say that he could, like, do that? That was already something that they said they could do through executive order. So, I don't... Anyway.
some random liberal grad student's degree in gender studies, or any student's degree in any field. Why are average Americans the ones shouldering the burden of people who chose to take on these loans? Maybe it's time for some personal responsibility. I'm Kevin Phillips with the Daily
Oh,
Wire.
there it is.
Thanks for watching.
All right, so it's the personal responsibility meme. All right, well, I agreed on, like, as kind of as I expected. I agreed on like all the actual problems and everything leading up to the point where they're like, no, you actually can't do that. When actually you can. It's the government holds those loans. They could forgive them if they wanted it. I know, canceling is a different word or whatever, but they can forgive those loans like any other institution can forgive loans. They just haven't. They just simply haven't. Biden on the campaign trail said that he would cancel, I believe he said 50, and then he walked it back to 10, and it's been months, half a year since he said he was going to get around to doing that. So again, this is one of those politically irresponsible things that Democrats have done. Biden specifically has done as, being a pretty shit president in terms of delivering. I mean, quite frankly, Biden's been a nothing president. Even if I'm being as charitable as possible, he's been a nothing president. But either way, let me take a look at what government. So yeah, okay. I only mean in that I've seen that at like gun shows in Ottawa and more conservative leaning events and shit. That there's always somebody selling coins. It's really weird. And like investment in gold. It's a bit odd. I mean, it's fine, whatever. Buy what you want. not really a solution for an entire what's the word? An entire society. Studying costs money. Expect others to pay for a useless degree in gender studies. Well, so that would be under the assumption. So Snithers, that would be under the assumption that there's no value to a gender study degree. That there's absolutely no inherent value in learning and studying gender when there's an entire spectrum of science and like psychology based around that. Let's see. I already read this. Sure you're not. Well, all I heard is lefty pedoticians. That's a good one, pedotician. Is that like is that like is lefty pedotician the new Democrat? I think that sounds smarter than Democrat. My dad said Democrat to me, and I like asked him if he lost like brain cells in his old age. I think Democrat is super cringe. Let's see, Bernie is worst senator right now because what he wants to do would overthrow the government, just like in Sri Lanka. I'm assuming you meant to say Sri Lanka. I'm not sure how you got to that, but okay. You have a great day too. Can you snap your fingers and get rid of child rapists? No, you still have lefty people who support child abuse. Would you like to tell me what you mean by child abuse? Go ahead and tell me. Define that for me, please. He can sign an executive order and make it all go poof. Absolutely, Huffle. 100%. Green Party in Germany wants to lower the consensual fucking to 0 from 14. I'm assuming that means consensual sex, and I don't know how somebody has sex at 0. Green Party in Germany is the wokest shit party there is. Got a lot of Republicans. Got a lot of conservatives. Who here's conservatives? Yes, there is no value in gender studies degree. Okay, that's kind of an opinion. You know, I mean, if you don't want to understand like the nuances of gender, I guess if you would not like to learn that, then you don't have to get a degree in that. I would only argue that, you know, we can't. There's not really a super objective way to say if one degree, at least in my opinion, if one degree is more valuable than another. I think having an educated society and people being educated about the things that they enjoy and the things they're interested in leads to a better society no matter what. I'm neither lefty nor conservative. I'm a person with a brain, which is kind of rare, but there I am. There you are. You know, I'm not going to lie. I'll give you credit, Snithers. I think pedotician is pretty good in terms of political branding. I think that's like, you know, the same way I said thanks O'Biden earlier. I think it's pretty fucking funny. I'm not going to it's complete bullshit. I disagree with you. But in terms of political messaging, I can at least respect that doesn't sound as stupid as Democrat. I always thought Democrat. All right, how much time do we have left? I don't have too much longer. How long is this Prager vid? Okay, this Prager video is like 3 minutes. We're gonna like fucking rapid fire this shit. So let's get going.
Hi everybody, Dennis Prager with Fireside Chat number 245.
So I guess Dennis Prager thinks that he's FDR. By the way, FDR leftist. Actually, kind of more of a centrist, but implemented a lot of leftist. Let's see. We're not. You know, I love your dog. I'd rather watch a video of your dog laying there, but we're gonna get to it.
Say things that can touch your life in a positive way.
Oh my God! I started at the worst possible.
So I usually open up with some thoughts on something, and that will be the case today.
Oh my
the
goodness.
Horrible shooting in Chicago.
Okay.
Yet another shooting in America. 6 people went to celebrate July 4th, America's Independence Day.
America.
And were murdered.
Yep.
It's very hard to wrap your mind around such tragedy. 6 people who won't go back to their friends and families ever. I mean, I believe in an afterlife, but I'm talking about in this world.
Oh my God.
It's...
Guys, I think I'm 32 now.
It's indescribable. and I just think of the loved ones. Obviously,
all right, Prager. Let's move it along here.
So I want to talk about the crazy young person.
There's no way this video is 3 minutes and 20, right? No, this has to be just
suffering.
This video.
Although I would like to talk to you about human suffering one time. I think I probably should.
Oh my God.
It's a subject that has consumed me my life. It consumes me tremendously to this day.
This has 2.9 subs.
My favorite verse in the Bible,
guys,
which is the most important book in my life.
Anybody watching here?
My favorite verse is, those of you who love God must hate evil. It's a command. The Hebrew has a command form in its verbs. English doesn't.
I need at least a mil subs.
But that's what it says. It's a command. If you love God, you must hate evil.
Okay.
If you don't hate evil, you don't love God. I love that. And I hate evil.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, I think he should be executed as soon as possible.
Holy shit.
Big tech censorship continues.
My God, there were like 5 things there, and we got to exactly none of them. Okay, so he thinks mass shooters should be... Okay, that's, as usual, state violence to combat public violence. That makes sense. Totally, yeah. I don't support that, by the way. I don't support the death penalty. But, okay, that was worse. Wow, that was more rapid fire than I could have ever imagined. Okay, well, can we get anything out of that? Not really. So I guess that's it. Yeah, that's gonna be it. Let's see. Hello, mate. How are you doing? I'm doing well. Video audio. He is too loud. You think he's well? Luckily, we're done with that. I also kind of agree. I thought he was too loud when I looked at the thing, but he's also like hardly. That's fine. Well, Biden doesn't fall off bikes. Also, Thailand kids. I don't know what that reference. Although the Biden falling off the thing was pretty fun. Falling off the bike was kind of fun. In the sense that, like, I mean, it's just always, like, I like physical comedy. Like, I fucking die laughing at, like, although I did see that, like, the left can't meme video, and it was like, well, okay, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. Where is it? The left can't. God, I hope this is on here. Fucking Haas. Oh God, is this the one where I want the one where he falls off the bike. Fuck. No, that was a month ago. Why is this going in? No, give me like the last week. Oh my God, this is worse. Is this it? This has to be it, right? This has to be it, right? Give me the one where he's on the bike. It was like the worst thing ever. Oh my God, these are awful. Just like kind of flipping through these. Okay, maybe we're not going to do this because I don't know which fucking stupid video. This isn't even the original channel. Okay, whatever. My point is, we're done. We're done. I'm assuming you guys have seen it. I'm going to assume you guys have seen that video. It's just utterly awful. But anyway, I'm going to read a few more chats, respond to anything, and then I got to like run out of here. But anybody who's in here, you should be following. That should be the first thing you do. And you should be wishing everybody in here having a nice day, because we should all have a nice day. Let's see. Audio, took care of that. Got you, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. Somehow he's loud and quiet. Opinions on political rabbit hole questions. Not opinions on women's rights. Women should have rights. Is there I'm not really sure what the alternative opinion. What is rabbit hole questions? Give me a rabbit hole question. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it, but give me like one good question. Opinions on Cody Simpson. I don't know. I know who Cody Rhodes is. I don't know who Cody Simpson is. Is that like a Simpsons character? I don't know. I don't know who that means. Don't mean to get too political. Well, this is kind of a political stream. So, opinions on Andrew Gate. Do you mean like there's like a Watergate, but it's about Andrew? I know a person named Andrew. Andrew Tate. I feel like it sounds super familiar. Probably a dumb fuck. I don't know. You have a question? Wait in line. Was it in that video? I'd be really disappointed. Was that bike meme in that video? Let's see. I'm assuming that's supposed to be accept. Did you expect the Ukraine war economic consequences to be that high? All right, this is a good question. This is going to be the last thing I say. I think that the economic consequences in terms, I'm assuming you're talking about in terms of the US. I don't think so. As far as I know, we don't buy that much oil from Russia, from what I understand. So I think it's kind of bullshit that gas prices are where they're at. Mostly, it appears to be a what's the word? Seizing of an opportunity by oil companies. While things are, while the war is going on, while people can be confused, and when gas prices went up, everyone went, "Oh, it's the war in Ukraine." Well, fun fact, that's actually bullshit, but everyone kind of believes it because it makes sense. It's something that makes sense that, like, as a company, you take advantage of to kind of, gas your prices a little bit. No pun intended. So I don't think, in terms of for Russia, fuck, I don't think Russia thought for a second that they would be hit as hard economically in terms of all the sanctions and everything else. I don't think they expected that to happen. I'm pretty sure they were pretty caught off guard by that. And honestly, it really depresses me. There's not as much coverage these days. You kind of have to go hunt for coverage about the war in Ukraine. But the 24-hour cycle is what it is. People just kind of lost interest somehow. It's really shocking to me that people kind of lost interest in the Iraq War too eventually. But I guess when that's your own country, you're probably a little bit more aware of what's going on. I meant worldwide, especially for Europe. No, I did not. I will say that I did not think they'd be as bad as they are. I didn't, to be honest. I didn't think that it would. I didn't think we'd still be here. I figured this would either be really quick, or Russian forces would just have to pull out, and they decided not to, which that's a decision to make. I'm not the leader of their country, so shit. Kind of their price that they're gonna have to pay for that. I don't know where, in terms of like Russia, God only knows where they're gonna be headed after all of this. Their society is, with not being a very strong democracy. What am I saying? Without being a real democracy, and with dissidents being arrested and everything else that's going on there, on top of real economic hardship, like Russia's fucked. I think Europe overall will end up kind of in a better place by the end of it. I'd like to hope, because I think with everybody working in the EU working together a little bit more in terms of getting their energy supplies, I think that might shore up a few places where like Russian oil and energy was filling in. But I'm not super well read on European politics, other than like high school world history from like however long. What am I chatting about? Kind of whatever right now. Let's see. Why Russia thought they could do whatever after Crimea and Hong Kong. Yeah. It seems like Putin has, he wants to, increase Russia's sphere of influence again and kind of bring other countries into the fold, which again is a decision and kind of a stupid one in my but that's kind of I know people have kind of been wondering if what's happening in China is gonna influence China to go harder after I believe it's Taiwan. Yeah, Taiwan. But I don't see that happening. I think we would have known that in the first couple of days. I think at this point, as far as I can tell, China kind of seems to take the stance of we don't want to be involved, and you guys are kind of fucking up our vibes over here. So again, I'm not super well read on international politics. It's just I just don't have a super great lens to it, I'll admit. How do you think the conflict will be resolved? I think there will eventually have to be either a retreat or even if Russia takes a whole bunch of land, I think they're gonna kind of figure out that it's not gonna be economically worth their time. So let's see. I think the last thing I wanted to read before I got out of here. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be it. All right, everybody. I really appreciate your questions. Appreciate anybody that stuck around and watched. I want to shout out to NYS Jewish Man for the follow. I really appreciate that, man. It seems like we disagree a lot, but feel free to come in, and this goes for everybody. Feel free to come in, ask about whatever thing you're interested in. But always here to hear discussions. I started this channel, or at least this channel before I played a lot of video games. I'll probably play some at some point, but primarily I had a really like long 3-hour conversation with somebody about politics and everything else, and I've always liked having those conversations, and this is just the direction I decided to take this channel. So but yeah, so oh my god, I'm so blurry. There I am. Okay, so anyway, yeah, if you haven't, you should totally follow. You should, I don't know if there's a like button, but you should like the stream if you can. You should follow. I also have a YouTube channel. This is going to be up on there. So, you know, maybe send that to some friends or something. I'm going to clip the segments here in for anything that you guys missed. But either way, all of you have a lovely day. And yeah, I will, like I said, follow. And I'll probably around this time, maybe a little bit earlier. I don't know. But either way, see you. Goodbye.